The night.
Welcome everyone to this Monday night's version of the Lightgate. It is November 17th, a very big day in my life. My father was born on that day. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Facebook, we are on Roku, we are on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. We have an exciting show because, as you all know, our very favorite guest is with us. So before I hand over to Preston, I want to thank Carnation for being our network sponsor. We love you. Thanksgiving's coming. Boy, there's many things you can use this for. Go for it. Okay, Preston, I'm handing it to you.
Thank you, Dolly, and thank you, everyone, for joining us on episode 134 of The Lightgate. Can't wait to bring our guest on. He's our most repeated guest, probably our most popular guest as well, Michael Schratt. Got some amazing new information. He's always got new stuff. He's the best out there at what he does. But before I bring him on, let me just say a few notes. I do want to let you all know that on my YouTube channel, I'm working very hard to get captions and subtitles for all different languages that there is. I'm about 1/3 of the way through. It takes an hour for each video. So yeah, it's taken me a while, but that I think will be a nice addition because we are reaching out all over the world. And that is, of course, going to include the Lightgate, which I always do right after the show. It takes, the next day for it to get done. But for those of you out there who have English as a second language, we're thinking of you. All right. So yeah, very excited. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron. She's a lifelong contactee who's had fully conscious experiences. She talks from absolute firsthand knowledge about ET. And I've been researching this subject for going on 40 years now. And I've had a few experiences myself, as you all know. I do like to say a quick hello to all you folks in chat. I'm going to be fast because we always run out of time when we have Michael on. It's so much information. So please forgive me if I go really fast here, but I do love to say hello to all you folks. It's because of you we do this show, and we love you very much. So who do we have here? We have Scarlet Fire. Meditation can open you between the thoughts. Can open the you, yes. Meditation is important. Very, very helpful. We have Teresa Levine. We have the amazing Janie Mashburn and Jay Kirshenman. Thanks, Jay, for joining us. Got quite a crowd here already. We have, who else do we have here? We have Lil Dove. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, yeah, Lil Dove. Yeah.
We have
Namaste.
The amazing and generous and lovely Namaste. We love you so much, Namaste. Your support is amazing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm always honored. Tim Holland, hello. Glad to be here. Glad you could make it. We have Olivia Escamilla. Hi, Olivia. Thank you for joining us. We got Louise from New Jersey. We have, Scarlet Fire already giving the resume on our guest tonight. Private pilot, military aerospace historian, longtime UFO researcher, lecturer, draftsman, and expert on classified black projects and UFO crash retrievals. That's it in a nutshell.
Michael has a fan. That's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, Sunny Burnett. We truly appreciate it. We absolutely couldn't do this without you, so thank you. Hello, Barris. Thank you for joining us. And Stargazer. We got quite a few people here. Another regular, Shariz Basila. Thank you. We have Punka 64. Hi, all. Hope as well. Good to be here.
Thank you. Good to see you.
We have Marshall Brown. We have Lorette. Not that we want you to have to do more work than you already do for us, but timestamps would be great too. I am putting them on my YouTube channel. I suppose we should start on this as well. Okay, thanks, Lorek. Good idea. Thurston, nice to see you. Oh, Janie, you guys, so nice, Janie. We really appreciate it. Bob,
yay! Thank you, Bob.
We have Blackbeard, and we have me getting in trouble if I don't get the show started, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not here, just on the videos. LOL. Oh, okay. And perennial philosophy. All right, that's enough. If I missed you, I'm so sorry.
Vampire lover, yes.
Definitely. Yeah. We absolutely appreciate you. But let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Those of you who watch the show regularly probably already know about our guest, but let me just be real quick here. We're so honored, delighted to have him back. He's a private pilot, military aerospace historian, longtime UFO researcher, lecturer, draftsman, and expert on classified black projects, UFO crash retrievals, the government UFO cover-up, and more. He's the author of The Dark Files, Pictorial History of Lost, Forgotten, and Obscure UFO Encounters. He's a frequent guest on radio shows and podcasts. He's appeared, of course, on many major ones like Coast to Coast. He speaks regularly at conferences like Contact in the Desert. His book, Dark Files, check it out. It presents 61 fully illustrated UFO encounters from around the world, from real-world, boots-on-the-ground research. What else do we got here? It's more about the book, which we've already talked about. Never before seen illustrations of historically significant UFO cases make them come alive. Definitely check it out. Also, check out Michael Schratt's YouTube channel, which if you just type his name in, Michael Schratt, he's got all kinds of amazing stuff on there. Really hoping that you guys can check it out after the show. Michael Schratt Official. The links are on the show notes. Tonight we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, a little bit about the moon, some new information on APRO files that he's been going through that have never seen the light of day before, and all kinds of interesting stuff. Whatever Michael talks about, it's always interesting. It's always a guarantee. So let's just bring him right on.
Hello.
Hey, Michael.
Hi, Dolly. Hi, Preston.
So glad you could join us.
Good to be with you. Good to be with you.
So I know you've got a PowerPoint ready. We love that because it makes it easier on us for sure. But a little bit harder to get a word in edgewise because you've got so much information.
A lot to say. That's cool.
Yeah, we love it. So
yes, I would like to refer to you now as our resident military aerospace historian. How's that?
That sounds fine. That's good.
All right.
Great.
You're the go-to guy. So whenever you're ready. Oh, I have to. That would be on me.
Okay.
All right. I think, let me just pull this banner down. Maybe that'll give us a little bit more room. I doubt it, but it might. Nope, no more room. All right. Thought I'd give it a try.
Good to go.
Okay. I'm going to start here. So I want to begin the forward part of this presentation talking about the moon. I think it's important. And I want to just kind of ask the question here, what's really happening on the moon? I think we've all thought about that from time to time. Like, what was really going on there? Now, we all know that our good friend Richard Hoagland has been talking about things on the moon for decades. So let's at least explore this possibility that there could be something else going on up on the moon, our nearest neighbor here. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. And we'll take a look at this. Mysterious monuments on the moon. There's been newspaper clippings. There's been blogs about this. There's been websites about this that talk. This has been going on for decades. Authors have been doing highlighted articles on it. This is from Argosy science editor Ivan T. Sanderson. He wrote a whole article about these monuments, these obelisks, these strange structures that perhaps allegedly are on the moon. So I want to take a look at this and see if there's any reality to this that we can determine here. And I want to talk about this gentleman right here, Jack Swaney. I think it's a name that most people haven't heard about, but in the early 1980s, he published multiple articles in Fate magazine on things that he claimed he saw on the moon. Now, this is through binoculars. It wasn't any high technologically advanced equipment. This was not a 24-inch Dobsonian. This is kind of like just 8 by 50 binoculars. And what he claims he saw was just incredible. So I thought, let's highlight what this gentleman has done. And let's give him the benefit of the doubt and see if we can verify this on our own. And so let me take you.
Did you freeze?
The Sea of Chrysis,
Okay.
south of crater Proclus, lever shaft, brilliant metallic silverish white. You can see the dimensions here, 40 miles across. Now, I have to admit, he provides the right ascension and declination for this. So I really do encourage people to verify this on their own. Go out there and get your own equipment. We've got the locations of where this, so we should be able to verify this. Now, I've looked at a number of high-resolution lunar photography websites, and I have to admit, I can't see it there. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he had a better lighting or a different time, but I don't necessarily see what he's seeing. But just to give his information the light of day, I thought we would highlight it here. So when you plug that into AI, is this what's up on the moon right now at that location?
No.
I'm just putting it out there. It definitely requires more research at the very least. So here's another one. Alien structures at Cape Agarum, Sea of Chrysis, 35 miles across. And these are all his original sketches, and I wanted to highlight his work here. So let's go to AI, and something like this could be out there. Astronauts talking about things for literally 120 years. There's been British astronomers, American astronomers talking about things that they've seen that are anomalous on the moon. I'm going to go to the next one here. Dome platform at southern limb, overhanging crater Basagalt, seen throughout fall 1980. Best observed under waning moon 5 to 6 days past full. And then he says 30 miles across, 65 miles across, brilliant white bridge structure across crater. Domes are brilliant white metallic color. Platform is black. So if you go to this domed rim here and you go to this location, we should be able to see this. This is 30 miles across. You don't need a high-powered telescope to see this. Let me go to the next slide. Is something like this on the moon at that location? At the very least, we need more researchers. We need to follow up on this and do additional investigations here. Mountains of the moon, south of tip of Caucasus at 35 degrees north, latitude minus 8 degrees east longitude. And he's saying that there's these structures at this location. So we know where it is. Let me go to the next slide here. Is this the battered remains and debris of a civilization, of a structure, of something that could perhaps be hundreds of thousands of years old? I'm just putting it out there. I'm not claiming yes or no. I'm just saying let's be neutral. Let's at least do some additional investigations here. Strange structures on the moon, Sea of Chrysis, North Shore, crater Macrobius, Lick Observatory photo, looks like it's 1938. What would we be looking at? Something like this could be up on the moon. And I just invite and I certainly inspire others to do their own research here. Bridge on the moon, Sea of Chrysis, Western Shore. Looks like 50 degrees east longitude, 17, is that minutes north latitude. So something like this could be there. I'm just putting this out here. Sketch from Apollo photo of Hygnus Rill showing Pallas Ukert area, undated, unnumbered, published in Pat Moore's New Guide to the Moon, plate XV, so that would be 15, objects at top edge page left side, 1976 edition. Could this be real? This is his sketch from March of 1981. Could these things actually be there? Star-shaped object at crater Eucurt, 8 degrees north of dead center on moon's face. Now, we should be able to see this. We should absolutely be able to see this. And he's claiming that these structures are actually there. Star-shaped device has a gray metallic texture. Machine at Pallas is brilliant metallic white. Something like this is possibly there on the moon. Let's do another one here. This is the same area here. The object as a NASA Apollo photo of area appears damaged or wrecked. Yeah, Hoagland talks about that for many, many years now. Battered, damaged, dilapidated, derelict, disrepair, artificial structures potentially on the moon's surface. Something like this. Did our astronauts see any of this? Were they sworn to secrecy? Did the Apollo astronauts see anything that may have looked like this? Wrecked or discarded artifact on the moon at east rim of crater Endymion, 54 degrees north latitude, minus 60 degrees east longitude. Something that's 55 miles across. We should be able to see this. Something that may look like this. Again, we need to do additional research to verify this. Rabbit-shaped object in moon's east quadrant at 25 degrees south latitude, minus 45 degrees east longitude, fourth night of waning moon. It's 25 miles across. This is just incredible. If this is true, if these are real, then it's pointing toward potential ET structures here, 25 miles across. Another one, alien machinery operating on the moon, north rim of crater Julius Caesar, 9 degrees north latitude, minus 15 degrees east longitude. Sea of Tranquility. Something like this could be on the moon here. I think we've got a couple more. Object on southeast wall of crater Clavius at 60 degrees south latitude, 8 degrees west longitude, 25 miles across. Something that looks like this could potentially be there. Spectacular beaded arch springing about 50 miles high over Mare Patronus, approximately as seen in lens with prism at 166 times magnitude back in 1985. This is another sketch. This is Felix Bach. He claims that there's these structures there. These are a little bit low resolution here, but warp plate-like structure near crater Hypatia, approximately as seen in large prism at 333 times magnification. So it's plus 4 degrees and then minus 20 degrees east, 22 degrees east. Something could be there. So, Preston, just wanted to get your thoughts. Have you heard of things like this? Potentially battered structures on the lunar surface?
Yeah, there's something up there. I'm not sure about these in particular, but I have little doubt that there are some ET structures. I've heard it from many contactees over and over again. I did interview a gentleman who was part of the Apollo missions and spoke to the astronauts, and they told him firsthand they saw artificial structures up there. There's a bunch of books on this subject. George Leonard, Somebody Else is on the Moon was a real popular one. There's a number of them. I do think there's something up there. I'm not sure I don't know. But it's my understanding there's remnants of crashed UFOs or an ET base that's not active anymore. But from what I understand, yes, there's stuff up there that is of great interest to NASA, and that's one of the reasons they went up there.
Dolly.
Okay. You understand I'm an astronomer, right? I took astronomy. I'm an astronomer. I don't have a telescope right now. I don't want one. Okay. I've done enough for lately, but what I have done and what I do know is this. There are astronomers all over this planet. You don't have to be a professional government-funded astronomer. There are astronomer communities all over the planet. In Georgia, where I am, is Deer Lake. This is a 75-acre astronomer paradise where a lot of these lenses are ginormous and they're huge, and these are very, very devout astronomers. They're associated with the Atlanta Astronomical Society. Given that many astronomers and that much time that we've all been doing this, and trust me, I've mapped the moon out myself pretty good, there are no structures on the moon. ET would never dare to leave anything there. Just so, I want you to understand that it's pelted regularly. We've clocked in my lifetime over 30 hits from
There's stuff up there, Dolly. You saw stuff up there. You said you did.
On the backside. There are 2 structures back there. They're evacuated. They're no longer used, and they're old as heck. Now, what you can see on the moon, if you have a powerful enough telescope, because understand that if you were on the moon trying to see the Earth and cars and buildings here, without Hubble helping you, you couldn't see any of it. You would just see the planet, okay, and the land structures. That's it. And that's how you see the moon from here. If you have a really high-powered telescope, given the density of our atmosphere, the amount of time it takes for the light to get to the telescope, and then the atmosphere or the density of the magnetic field there, because they do have a little bit of a atmosphere plus a little bit of magnetic cohesion there. So all the light's bending and twisting and doing all kinds of things. You can barely make out the lander. The lander is visible. You can make it out with a very high-powered telescope. Binoculars, not at all. I'm looking at a ton of imagination and pareidolia here. It is easy to look through things and see things that are not there, and we're looking at it. The last one that you showed is really interesting to me because I'm familiar with this particular area, and there's some anomalous rock formations out there, but they're natural, and that is not what that is. If there were things on the moon and from people having telescopes, and trust me, my first high-powered telescope I obtained in the 70s. We all would have been screaming our butts off. You would not have been able to shut up a planet-wide tour of astronomers telling you there's stuff on the moon. It would be front page news. I want you all to consider something.
I don't think so.
I know so. Absolutely know so. You can't cover up 250,000 astronomers worldwide. You cannot.
No, you can't. They found stuff.
You cannot.
Talk about it.
He's got a pact already about it anyway. There is a protocol in place for worldwide astronomers to report this stuff and usurp the news services and everybody. They would go out over the airwaves. They would do whatever it took to make sure humanity knew that this stuff was there. It is not there. It is pareidolia, period, the end. What's on the backside of the moon, NASA knows about it because they photographed it. The astronauts saw it. They know it's there. That's what's real. Now, they have seen craft flying around the front side of the moon. Astronauts all over the place have seen them, and they know they're there. And they've seen them dart in and out of places, and they can't explain how they're doing it. I'm telling you they're interdimensional, and they're popping in and out. And that's it. That's all it is. The moon is barely in our magnetosphere. It is not a protected place. It has a little bit of magnetism, but not enough to keep all that radiation off of even ET. They do not have bases there. Now, other iterations of time, 12,000 years, 12,000 years, 12,000 years back, every time we do a change of the poles, we have the calamity of our sun micronova. Other iterations of people far more advanced than we are may have tried to be there, and they may have left a couple of artifacts, but no buildings and nothing in this dimensional scale, nothing. The moon is constantly pelted by asteroids. It is a common event. Would never have survived. Nobody in their right mind would build anything on the surface of that planetoid, that little moon, okay?
Well, I will also add that people have been taken to the moon.
And it's empty. Yeah.
But people have seen UFOs up there because they are visiting there. And
Yes.
it's really interesting because the Royal Astronomical Society, there's something called transient lunar phenomena.
Right.
TLP,
That's
look
what I'm
it up.
talking about.
It's
Yep.
not
There's
well
some stuff flying
understood.
all- Yep.
But absolutely, this has been cited for centuries. Ever
Right.
since we had
Right.
telescopes, people have been seeing strange lights on the moon.
Yeah. Yeah. ET knows what's going on with our moon. It is a solid object. It is not hollow, and it is monitored by ET when they're in our solar system. They keep an eye on it because it's actually moving away from our Earth, and we'll eventually, if we live long enough, some other iteration down the line, if our sun doesn't go supernova on us or Andromeda doesn't get us first, our moon is going to move away from us, and then there will be no people on Earth ever again. So yeah, they're watching this situation. But it is not a permanent base. They don't have industrial anything going on up there. And our people in this iteration do not have the science to do that yet at all.
So to conclude, there is stuff up there, but we can't see it. It's on the dark
It's on the
side.
other side. And it's not as big as what they're writing here. It's not. It doesn't need to be that big. See?
All right.
Okay.
Well,
All
I'm
right.
pretty sure there's stuff up there from what I've researched. So,
Seeing
yeah.
is believing. Unless you've seen NASA's photos of it, you can't really say for sure. And NASA does have photos of it. They lie. They don't tell you the truth. They have.
Yeah.
They have photos. Okay.
I think this was the last one here. Another structure here at 28 degrees west, 56.5, I think, plus or minus.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go over here now. We're back to our cases. 20 miles east of Yuma, Arizona, March 30th, 1955. So the primary eyewitness started his journey during the night at Yuma. He was heading toward El Paso. It was at night, and he was trying to get to a musical gig that he was supposed to go to. And where I have the star is where he encountered something very interesting. I'm going to go into the next slide here. Here's the original sketch from the APRO files.
What the heck?
And I'm going to just lay this out here. It says here, estimated size, 100 feet in diameter, 25 feet thick vertically through the center, 8 foot thick vertically around the edge. Smoke vapor, okay, beams of bluish green light, antenna, ruffle design scalloped around edge. Flying saucer witnessed by Andy Florio, 3:15 a.m., Wednesday, March 30th, 1955, heading eastbound on the highway. Now, a couple things I want to point out. Take a look at these prongs or protrusions with spheres at the end of them. This is something that pops up again and again and again and again. I believe these are static electrical discharge probes because I've got 20 other cases where these prongs are sticking out with spheres at the end of them. Let's go to the next one. Newspaper clipping. Tribune Advertiser, Thursday, August 26, 1965. What he saw, this is the artist's rendering of a flying saucer raven gray eagle, says he spotted in Arizona desert.
No.
What? Same one.
No.
Same
Wait,
one.
is this the same? It looks the same. It's got the same thing sticking out on top.
That's right.
Yeah.
Drawing
looks
shows
like
beams of light and smoke or steam vapor coming from the top of the mysterious craft. Here's Rudy's drawing that gives you an idea what this looks like. So you've got the prongs, you've got the scallop section going around the outer circumference, you've got the beams of light coming up, and then you've got this vapor. All right, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a little checking. I wanted to verify some of this. So I tracked down this article. Los Angeles Evening Citizen, News, August 18th, 1965. Raven Gray Eagle tells of his account. Now, that was his stage name. We already have his real name because that was in the first slide, but I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to highlight a couple things in this article here. So it says, he says he was some distance from Yuma, Arizona, when he spotted a bright light hovering over the desert scene. Some 15 minutes later, he stopped his car in bewilderment and stared at a huge flying saucer-shaped object hovering over the desert floor at an altitude of 30 feet. So he was very close altitude, 60 yards away from it. And then he says, which I think is real interesting, quote, it quivered slightly as it was hovering, and it was making a high-pitched humming sound similar to that of an electrical high-voltage plant. Later in the article, it talks about how other CE2 effects, which included the headlights on the car were dimming, and there was static on the radio. So, you know, Preston, this is like the umpteenth time we've heard about this electrical humming noise, like a transformer or a sewing machine. We've heard this multiple times. So this actually lends more credibility to the case.
Do you think this is ET?
Well, if you look at this here, he talks about quivering. So there's this falling leaf phenomenon associated with the UFOs. When they're in a localized field close to the ground, these things make this falling leaf. And then later on, when they depart and get higher in altitude and are stabilized, they don't have that anymore. So plus you've got the prongs sticking out with the spheres at the end. I'm pointing toward a man-made technology on this one.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking at here.
That's
So
here, that is. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Here's another rendering here.
Also kind of a giveaway.
This looks like Tesla technology to me, just saying. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's pointing toward a man-made technology. I'll do one more here on this case, and you can kind of get an idea of what this may have looked like. So I was skeptical at first until I read his account, and it just added more credibility because there's a pattern of recognition. There's a foundation that goes through a lot of these cases, because the Belgium Triangle also had, back in 1989, 1990, it also had this low frequency electrical humming noise like a transformer. Hudson Valley Boomerang witnesses between 1982 to 1989, they reported low frequency electrical humming noise. So it's tracking with other cases that are separated by time and space. I'm going to move on to the next one.
Is that a vapor that's coming out on top or something?
It would be, especially with electrical
ozone.
Yeah, and it would be ozone. Let me tell you something. This is the only thing those have in common with ET, as you stated, and I'll tell you why. When ET comes close to the ground, they're on batteries. They're electrical all the way. Okay, they're using graviton technology, but it's turned down, and they're using another type of technology to stay anti-grav, and it would be Tesla-like. Okay, and the reason they're bobbing and weaving on the similarity is an electrical current or an electrical wave is like the ocean, water. Think of a boat on the water. This is the same thing with electricity, and it would bob and weave like the falling leaf thing. That's it's underneath it. Okay, that's why it's similar, close to, and it gives people pause. They're like, "What am I looking at?" You're looking at an object balancing and hovering above an electrical field that it's generating from the ground up. Okay, and it's using anti-grav at the same time. It's a thing, and it's Tesla technology is what it is. Just saying. Go ahead.
That first case was 1955, and the second was 1965. And they looked.
Yeah, well, Tesla's around for a long time. How long do you think they've been doing this stuff?
Well, these are in chronological order by date. So
okay,
things locked up here. Okay, next one. 4 flying saucers chase a train through Clinton County, Indiana, October 3rd, 1958. So you've got the guy on the caboose, and these flying saucers are chasing after the train. Now, this went on for a while, 70 minutes. Here's my full color rendering, give an idea what this may have looked like. Now, there were multiple eyewitnesses to this. It says, claim 4 disc flying objects tried to hook a ride on freight train. 4 veteran crewmen of a Monon freight train asserted Friday night that 4 large dish-shaped flying objects played with our train for 40 miles across northern Indiana early Friday. This is Lebanon Daily Reporter, October 4th, 1958. So I tend to trust these train crew personnel. Absolutely.
They're good observers. They have
reliable witnesses. Yeah.
This is real. They're up on their side like this.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the real deal right there. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, I did a deep dive on that case, actually. And there's a recording out there of these guys talking to Frank Edwards, which I couldn't find, but it's somewhere out there. So, yeah, definitely a real case. A lot of people, like you said, saw this. It's one of many cases.
I'm glad you told me that, Preston.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's go to the next one here. Tournai, France. March 17th, 1972. So if you look on the upper left where I have the push pin, that's where this went down. And of course, here's the original article from March 21st, 1972, but it's all in French. So
I speak French. It says it's springtime. The flying saucers return.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So I plugged this article into AI. I had it generate the text. And from the text, I was able to get the details of the case from the original newspaper clipping. Now, there's the blow up of what the craft looks like. And what he was doing is he was driving one of these 1972 Renault 6. This is the car that he was driving as he kind of like went right by this thing. It was parked on the ground. So I'm going to take you to my full color rendering, which gives you an idea of what he saw back in that time frame. Interesting configuration, 2 beaming spotlights shining forward. There was what looked like pogo landing gear coming down, but very good case, good witness, and a whole newspaper clipping article that talks about this case. Let's move on to the next one. October 9th, 1972, between Selden and Coram, Long Island. Now, I originally pulled this case out 15 years ago from QFOS. That was 2457 West Peterson Avenue, downtown Chicago. So if you look at the map, the star is where this actually went down. This was at night, husband and wife driving down the road. And I'm going to go to the next slide here. This gives you the approximate location. This is as close as I could get to where all this went down. So just picture.
I love that when we can get the exact location. It helps.
I'm going to guess I'm within 600 feet of where it actually happened. So picture this scene at night. And let me take you to the next slide here. This is a high resolution scan that I made from the original sketch from the original witness.
Wow.
So here you see the light on the upper right-hand corner of his drawing. Light from object as first seen, heading east between Selden and Coram, New York, through front car window. So he's looking out the front windshield as he's kind of curving off to the right. I'm going to go to the next slide here. So this is UFO investigator, February 1973, flyover reported from Long Island. And what he and his wife reported, now the husband pulled off to the side of the road, wife got out, she walked across the oncoming traffic, and they both looked up and saw this. It was a flying iron, okay? It had lights on the forward and aft section, and then they both said that they witnessed what looked like two poles sticking up, and there was a wire connecting the poles at the top. So again, it's screaming this man-made technology here. I'm going to go to the next.
Wait, before you do, it says right there, the author of The Exorcist saw a UFO. Pulling people out of here. That's a good little tidbit of info.
Sure.
I'll have to look that up.
Here's the blow up. So if anyone thinks this is ET, go knock yourself out, right? We're looking at a man-made technology here.
That's got to be unmanned too.
Yeah, unmanned object almost directly overhead and slightly to one side. So now it's passing from right to left over them, and it had rectangular, elongated white lights on the bottom of it. This is his original sketch. I'm going to go to the next slide here. And he lays this whole thing out. Object as it was leaving, flying very slowly from northeast to west-southwest. So he's got red light on the left-hand side, green light on the right-hand side, tall antennas, bright white light pulsating, light as is from the windows on the bottom. So, I mean, it's really good. And there was a audio tape interview transcript that was 12 pages in length that went into this case in great detail. I think it's a very good case, very good case. Yeah. Well, so here's our full color rendering, gives you an idea of what this looks like going down the highway here. And I don't think we're looking at a ET technology. This is screaming a man-made technology. No
right over the highway. It's so bizarre to me. It's like, do they not have a place to test these?
I'm wondering if that's the prototype for the one I saw in 2011 or 2012. I have a film of it actually, and it's kind of like that, but it's more sophisticated and it's more triangular than that, but it's close.
Prototype is a very good word. Yes.
Yeah.
Very. Okay. Like a technology demonstrator, very crude, unmanned technology demonstrator. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, where have we seen this technology before, right? The lifter experiments, where they have a pole sticking up with a wire connecting them. Was this UFO sighting the end result of a very early lifter electrohydrodynamic experiment? So let's go a little bit further here. The core concept of a lifter is to apply a high voltage across two electrodes, typically a thin wire and a wide bottom section, which is part of a lightweight frame. So is that what that whole bottom section was on the craft itself? How does it work? When a high voltage charge is applied to the thin wire, the strong electric field around it ionizes the air molecules nearby, thus stripping away electrons. These newly created ions, which are now charged particles, are strongly repelled by the wire, positive electrode, and attracted to the large foil skirt, negative electrode. As they move toward the skirt, they collide with the surrounding neutral air molecules, transferring momentum to them. Right. Wow. So is this the ionization that's talked about? The different colors, the greens, the reds, the orange, the maroon colors. It's again, it's screaming a man-made technology.
Good work. I mean, that's amazing. That sure sounds right on to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, let's continue here. Next one, November 1972, 3.5 miles south of Corrales, New Mexico, which I thought was very interesting case. Very interesting case. Now, this is not too far from Albuquerque, New Mexico. The star shows you where all this went down. All right. Now, primary eyewitness was a busboy. It was 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
He was done with his shift. And so he's on his motorcycle driving home. And you can see he ran into this very large, it looks like a stealthy, faceted craft. He described it as looking like one of those things that you put on your pencil eraser. You know that, Preston, those things that you put on the back of your pencil, they have this faceted look about it. That's exactly how he described it. So if you look at here, we've got the Sandia Mountains in the background. We've got white lights in the forward section. There was a red light. There was an orange light. There was a rectangular section on the bottom with a blue-white beam of plasma that came down and hit the primary eyewitness. Now I'm going to go to the next slide here. These are the original sketches with the case. So I did a 3-view drawing that shows you front, top, and right side. And then we've got this blue/white light coming down at a 45-degree angle that hit the motorcycle rider and paralyzed him. He saw the whole thing, which I thought was interesting. Here is the original illustration that went with the report. There was a 2-page report that went with this case, and this is the very original illustration that went with it. You can see the mountains in the background. I'm going to go to the next slide here, and here's the illustration by Joel Christopher Payne, which gives you a really good, this is I would say, bird eye view, but another 20 degrees down. So we're looking up at the craft. CE2 effects. The witness reported that his motorcycle engine died and he could feel the hair on his body stand on end, the hair on his body. Then a slowly extending white-blue light paralyzed him. So this is another case where we've got this static electrical field in the localized area causing the hair to stand up on end of the primary eyewitness. Same thing happened at Calusa, California in 1976. So we've got a static electrical field associated with this craft.
So wait a second on this one. ET or not ET, Dolly?
Not.
That
is not ET.
So we have beams now that can slowly go down just like the ETs?
Yeah. Talking about prototypes, I have absolutely believed this one is a prototype in the sea. 2018.
Why the heck are they?
Air Force Base, flying over Panama City, because we were all out at 2:00 in the morning, stargazing, okay, astronomers, and it went over us at 45 miles an hour, same configuration. It had a much flatter bottom, and it was loaded with laser technology. We could see it. When you're used to seeing laser technology and you know how they load it, there it was. And the fact it was going 45 miles an hour and it had a static charge under it, it prickled our hair. It made, I always wear braids when I'm outside at night. So, and it came straight from Tyndall Air Force Base right over our heads. I'm serious. That's what that is.
So the guys in that craft decided that let's beam this motorcyclist. Let's have a little fun with this guy.
Why not? They're supposed to. They're supposed to be, acclimating people to being afraid of UFOs, and that was part of their.
So we have paralyzing beams.
No, the person froze in that light, wouldn't you? It's called fight or flight. We either run like hell or we freeze solid because we don't know what's coming. Well, and most people freeze solid. They can't move. It's almost like having rigor mortis for a few minutes. Your body locks you down. And
I don't know. I've had a spotlight on me.
Have you ever been electrified while you're doing it? If you're being hit with electricity, your muscles are gonna want to freeze up. They're either gonna hold you in place or throw you across the floor. That's what that is.
Well, that one's got to be occupied by folks.
Probably that one.
Well, they could be man or man, but the point being is that they've got the technology. They've got
if they have a beam of light that can extend slowly, these are not, just a normal searchlight beam. So, and that is in the Sandia Mountain area. So that
the Sandia Nation, and research centers are all up underneath there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then if we go back to Edgar Fouché, who basically broke the TR-3B story at IUFOC back in 1998, he said that Sandia National Labs was intimately involved in the reverse engineering of the propulsion.
You bet, 100%. You bet. Yeah, huh? Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I'm skeptical of the Penty, who supposedly comes.
They're a construct. Sue Walker did that. And they just ran with it. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
So witness described the craft as resembling a multifaceted beveled slip-on pencil eraser.
Yeah, it does.
That's what it looked like, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do one of those. Okay,
Somebody
next one.
built one of those things. That's
Now,
insane.
I have one for you, Dolly, and one for you, Preston. I want to get your thoughts on this one, okay? What is it? Is this the strangest UFO configuration of all time? I think it could be right up there. So let me hit you with this one. February 1975, Los Angeles, California. I mean, it's a bizarre configuration.
Of course, it's LA.
I was going to try to model this up, but, you know, there's not enough detail in here to get a view of what it looks like exactly from the top, and I need a side view as well. So, you know, this one needs more research, but I'm going to go through the bullet items here. After UFO left, light detached and followed my car for 30 or so minutes. Then another UFO in the shape of a flying saucer. So there were two of them, two different configurations. Now, if you look just below that, he says blue light, and you could call this a prong or protrusion with a sphere on it. Off to the left, he says light that is detachable, yellowish in color, could possibly be a TV remote camera. Now, if we go back to 1989, 1990, Belgium Triangle, the people and primary eyewitnesses of the Belgium Triangle said that there was a white light at each corner, and then there was an amber or red light that detached from the main craft. So that's tracking with what this witness says. Now he says, lights of all sizes from eraser size to silver dollar size colored light, amber, red, and white. That's tracking. Looked like air vents, tubes going inside, UFO light blue coming out of blue. So here's this tubes again. We could make a case that there's a correlation between Hudson Valley Boomerang, where they saw tubes, pipes, and cylinders. Total length of UFO, 16 to 18 feet, size of a 1968 Ford Torino GT. And then he says tail section, 3 or 4 feet long, looked like vents for water runoff. I thought that was interesting. That was interesting. This is not a large craft, maybe 16 feet across, and he kind of compares this to a Ford Torino. So something the size of a Ford Torino GT is what this gentleman is talking about here. I'm just going to swing back again. It's screaming perhaps a man-made technology, because if you look at this runoff he's talking on the bottom, if they're using electrogravitics or they're using a positive charge on the leading edge of the craft and a negative charge on the trailing edge of the craft,
right, they're going to get hydrogen and water.
A gravity well where the craft is being pushed into that. That could be possibly what's going on here. I don't think it's an ET craft, but again, we'll put this in the man-made.
Well, the square edges kind of give it away too.
Yeah,
it's not. Right. It's not. It's man-made. I'm curious that it was in the New York area. Where was this?
Let's go back.
Thank you, Derek.
Los Angeles, California, 1970.
Oh, Los Angeles.
Well,
yeah, it's got to be something weird. Okay,
I was there around that time. I was 10 years old, but I didn't see it.
So
I was in the LA area.
that puts you in range of El Segundo. That puts you in range of Burbank, California. That puts you within range of Edwards Air Force Base and Air Force Plant 42. All the major defense contractors definitely had manufacturing facilities there and laboratories. So
I guess that's a failed design, because that's the only one I've ever seen of this.
This guy was trying really hard to create something that he saw, you know. In other words, I don't think it's exact at all. No. I don't even think it comes close to what he saw, but he was trying. All right.
He was trying. Yeah. That's right. He was trying.
It's definitely man-made. Yeah.
November 9th, 1975, 25 miles south of Young, Arizona. Now, I looked at the map, and what she saw was where I have the star here. So she was traveling southbound, and this is what this woman saw. And, you
Wow.
know, it's our job to interpret what the witnesses are stating that they have seen and do our best possible drawing or illustration to preserve their history. This
These
is, you
drawings
know,
are great. These are all in the APRO archives?
yeah, these are all from the APRO archive.
That's
And
insane.
this,
Wow.
I mean, like, how do you make heads or tails of this? What is this woman trying to tell us? So you have to look at all her sketches, all her illustrations, her 5-page report, her notes here,
Pages. Wow.
and try to come up with what these witnesses are telling us here. So I'm going to rip through this here. It says it looked to be a metallic UFO ship. None of the lights were blinking. I could not see beings inside, red and blue lights. So there's a clue. And then
Yeah.
she also says that this forward section in the middle stuck out like a banister in an opera concert. So that was another clue that we had to look at. Red lights, she says, and then red lights all. So now we've got red lights. We already talked about the blue lights. This part extended out from the rest of the UFO. It looked like an enclosed balcony with windows, red and blue lights running down, up and down. So there's another clue. So we know kind of what the configuration was. We know the color of the lights. We know that the center section stuck out and protruded like a balcony. So we have to consider all these things that the witness is telling us. Here she is driving down the road here, 20 to 25 miles south of Young, Arizona, 40 feet, maybe longer. And she says, when I first saw the UFO, it looked as though it was above the road. And I thought that it would probably land on the dirt road ahead of me. But the closer I came, I could see that it was beside the road. On it was above the road. So obviously it was coming down very close to the ground on this dirt road as she's going here. So there's another clue. It was very close proximity to the ground. Here we go. I'm doing the best I can, she says. 40 feet across by my estimate. Height, I have no idea. Very large. So again, about 50 feet across. It's nighttime. She's driving down the road. So we have to consider all these clues. And here's Rudy's drawing. This is the best that we could come up with of what this woman saw. We have to give her credit for doing the best possible job that she could, given the sketches and, you know, coming from memory, what this may have looked like. So let's go to the full color rendering. And something like this is perhaps what this woman saw. Let me do one more here to make this case come alive. And something like this is what this woman saw on this night in Arizona. So I want to give
a lot of lights.
Yep.
Dolly, E.T. or man-made?
No, I hate to tell you what I think it is. It's going to sound cliche. I think that a balloon came down and it landed, and she couldn't see the gondola. She just saw the balloon, and it was pretty fancy. What year was this?
Let me go back real quick here. 75.
Yeah, I think it was a downed balloon. I think they downed for the night. I think it's dangerous to fly balloons at night. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. On a full moon night, if like it's showing there, it could be a full moon night, they might have given it a shot, but power lines and all kinds of things and air temperature and barometric pressure, everything affects a balloon. I don't know why a balloon would be out there like that. Sometimes the military uses them in exercises and things like that. So I don't know, but I think that's a big old balloon. That's what I think.
Could
Now,
be.
you know, we can't rule that out. However, if you look at the lighting configuration, it's not consistent with just a regular balloon. And then she talks about the balcony section that protruded out. So that's a little bit different as well.
Yeah, but if it's painted in 3D, have you ever seen a 3D balloon with weird lights? And when her headlights hit it, it could have shown all kinds of, you know, there's, you know, when you're looking at a flat night and you're looking 2D at something from a distance, you don't realize that 3D effect in a drawing or a painting can look real to you like it's really there. I really do think
How
that's
close were they to it?
She was very close. She drove right by it.
Yeah,
She drove right by it. It was on the side of the road.
Yeah,
She
it
got a
wouldn't be
good
that
look at it,
close to
too.
the road. It would be at least 400 or 500 feet off the road. And
I'm gonna chalk that into the I'm not sure category.
Well, I mean, let's go back to her sketch here. You can see she was very close to it as she's driving down the road.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I don't know that when they're dropping a balloon, if it had just come down and the gondola was underneath the balloon and they dropped the jets, the heat to fill it up, okay, and they were letting the balloon sink down, it could have looked like that. I'm telling you, I've seen balloons go up 1 billion times, easily 1 billion. I've been in a balloon. That's a balloon. It's a balloon.
I've never seen a balloon quite like that, but I'm not going to rule it out.
I've seen every kind of balloon you could stinking imagine, from figures to UFOs to ET himself, you name it.
They
Go
do
look
put
it up.
designs all over
Bet.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they can make them look like anything. I think it's a balloon. I'm down
Okay,
for that.
let's continue on.
Okay.
Elmwood, Wisconsin, April 22nd, 1976. So the star marks the area of where this went down. Now, this was a police officer. This was at night. He was on kind of the night shift, and he followed the kind of the bending road up to where there was an overhead section looking down over a quarry. So that's kind of the setting here. And this is what he said he saw. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that this thing was massive. It was 250 feet in diameter. And we're going to wrap around going from left to right here. So April 22nd, 1976, at the Turtle Hill Quarry. Main part of object was silver in color. He talks about the porthole windows, blue, electric blue, with what was coming out of these windows. Legs or landing gear pods that appear to be retracted into the bottom of the craft. Then he talks about a tube or a hose that was black in color. I don't think it was a hose. I think it was a protrusion or a prong. Appeared to be large rotor fins. So the center section had what looked to be large rotor fins. And then he says knobs or raised in main structure. So this could be another one of these static electrical discharge probes. I'm going to go to the next slide.
Looks like the Jupiter too, by the way, but go ahead.
Reader telegram, May 14th, 1976. Second UFO sighting told at Elmwood. Here is George Wheeler. He's the primary eyewitness. And this article goes through the case, gives you specific details, but I want to take you to our full color rendering that kind of gives you an idea of what this may have looked like from his perspective here. So let's go through the bullet items here. Object made a whooshing noise as it left, paddle-like apparatus. And then it says, Officer Wheeler could see the outline of shadowy figures inside the craft. Get me to a radio. I've been hit by a blast of light. So there was some type of interaction between the craft and the primary eyewitness while he's overlooking the quarry here. But I think it's interesting. You've got this prong sticking down. You've got these spherical half moon sections up on the top. And then he definitely said that he could see the silhouettes of outlines of shadowy figures inside what looked like these blue porthole windows wrapped around the outer circumference. So again, I'm thinking 250 feet in diameter with what we see here and the rotor-like pedal apparatus. I think it's a man-made technology.
Yep.
I will say, I looked into this case. Elmwood has an enormous amount of UFO activity.
Okay.
This was one of the more famous cases. It was so active there that they actually have a yearly festival. Some people saw some definite strange stuff going on there. There's a mine near there as well. I remember this case. I think he died shortly, like a year or two later. Blamed it on this craft. I'm not sure about that, but I think he was quite ill afterwards.
Interesting. Okay, let's continue on here. I thought we would revisit the Phoenix Lights for one specific reason. So this is March 13th, 1997 on a Thursday, which I thought was interesting. Thursday keeps popping up. We've heard about this before, but actually it took place not in Arizona, but Henderson, Nevada. And this thing tracked all the way down toward Tucson. So this is 7:55 p.m., Henderson, Nevada, March 13th, 1997. This was done by my good friend Tom Bogan. Want to give him credit. He laid out the entire case, all time stamped. Tells you how it started here, Paulden, going on to Prescott, Sunset Point, Phoenix, Casa Grande, and then Tucson, 9:30 p.m. So this thing tracks the whole flight path of the object itself. And I'm going to move on to the next slide here. USA Today, June 18th, 1997. Arizonans say the truth about UFOs is out there. Quote, the incident over Arizona was the most dramatic I've seen, says Peter Davenport of the National UFO Reporting Center in Seattle, Washington. He brands most UFO reports as hogwash, but not this one. What we have here, he says with conviction, is the real thing. They are here. Well, maybe, right? Or maybe there's something else going on here. Arizona Republic, June 20th, 1997. Those mysterious lights over Phoenix appeared again Thursday, but this time they flashed on television screens across the country as the major networks picked up on the months-old UFO puzzle. CNN ran a long piece throughout the day on its regular network and every half hour on CNN Headline News. A photo of the huge V-shaped object made the front page of Wednesday's USA Today. So a lot of witnesses reported that this thing was over a mile across. There were multiple craft. So you see the beaming spotlights coming down, this boomerang-shaped craft hovering above the residential areas, not too far from Sky Harbor Airport. Now, what's not as well known, but still somewhat known, is that nearby Luke Air Force Base, they scrambled two F-16s that had lantern pods on them. And they got a real good close look at this thing. So here you see the F-16s going up to this boomerang-shaped object. Here is the first pass full illustration by Rudy. And I'm going to take you to the next illustration here. Now, the point I want to make is, and this has been confirmed, when the F-15s landed back at Luke Air Force Base, and this is from one of the ground crew operational personnel there, they said that one of the F-15 pilots was so horrified and so shocked and surprised and really horrified by what he saw, he had to be, quote, helped out of the cockpit. He was so distraught about what he saw, he had to be helped out of the cockpit. That was a direct quote from the ground personnel back at Luke Air Force Base. So what did this guy encounter? What did he actually see? Some of the witnesses said that they could see what looked like shimmering bottom of the section, almost as though it was translucent, like you could see through the craft itself. Yep. That was reported. So there's a lot more to this Phoenix case than I think meets the eye here. We do need to do additional information. Preston, you want to chime in for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote UFOs over Arizona, and so I dug into this case in depth. It was interesting because I know how Dolly feels about this. There was stuff going on there. No doubt some of the stuff going on there was real. One guy wrote an article for the MUFON Journal saying that this was actually 5G technology, a hologram.
12, yeah, it was.
He got a lot of pushback, but he made some real interesting points about this, because the fact that it was see-through is kind of a red flag there. I mean, there are cases where UFOs do turn transparent, but Dolly pointed out if this thing was truly that large, it would have caused a power outage.
It would have been a full-on national security incident. You all would have known UFOs existed the second worldwide boom. I think this is a holographic. It was in the right place for it to be created that way. There are mountains circling that entire area where they could have put stations where they could have brought this thing in. And they've been practicing with 12G holographic technology for some time. China displays it every day on billboards all over China. Have you not seen them? They go to high schools and show this stuff off, where they show students, whales jumping up out of the floor of the basketball court. It is not real, and it is going to be what they use against humanity. No offense to anybody, but someday you're going to wake up to this and you're going to wonder, oh my God, what am I looking at? And it's not going to be real. It's going to be that.
Yeah, I think they took advantage of the fact that there was a wave of genuine sightings going on in that area at that time. We had Dr. Lynn Kitai, and she had some really interesting things to say about it. I'm not so sure she's convinced it's a hologram, but gosh, after talking to Dolly and looking how advanced our technology is and seeing the holograms that we now have that is in the public arena.
Yeah, and I don't blame that pilot for freaking out. He would have seen it as almost a solid object. He would have freaked out. I can't believe he didn't turn his wings in that day. It's that serious. That's how good they are at this already. You know, I mean, if they can build back engineered, all right, let me bring up a subject. I want you to understand something. ET can cloak. ET can make you see anything they want you to see in the air. They have the technology to change what they look like in flight so that you don't know what you're looking at, okay? There is stealthy beyond stealthy beyond stealthy. They're like cuttlefish. It is technology that they've back engineered, this holographic technology gained directly from ET. What do you think we're talking about here? Okay, this is meant to mess with everybody. This is what this is. Okay.
Now, there's another point I want to bring up. This was Thursday when this went down. Thursday is very, very significant because test flights of man-made craft are generally done on Thursdays, okay? And there's a reason why, because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is pre-flight. Thursday's the test flight. Friday's debrief. Saturday, Sunday, generally, there's a lot less people at these military bases. Okay, now let's go back to Hudson Valley Boomerang. Thursday, March 24th, 1983, there was a huge sighting of a boomerang over the Taconic State Parkway where hundreds of people pulled off to the side of the road. They stopped their cars. They got out. They looked up. They saw a huge boomerang-shaped craft. It had tubes, pipes, and cylinders on the bottom of it. This was a Thursday, March 24th, 1983. So I'm going to throw it back to you two. Do you know what happened one day prior to March 23rd, 1983? Significant event? Want to take a guess?
I don't know.
Dolly?
Oh boy, you're ringing my brain to go to it. It was significant. I know that. I'm trying to rack my brain for it.
All right.
Something did happen on that date. 83, 83, 83, 81, 83, 83.
March 23rd, 1983. No, that was January 28th, 1986.
Okay, what was it then?
Okay. Ronald Reagan gave his SDI Star Wars address to the nation.
God.
That's right.
Now,
Okay, I knew that. Okay.
24 hours later, we have this massive boomerang-shaped craft hovering over the Taconic State Parkway. So the point I'm making here, is there a direct link between the funding for SDI and the Hudson Valley Boomerang? Was some of the funding from SDI siphoned and filtered off to these other programs as a airborne mobile over-the-horizon radar system? Is that what we're looking at on these projects? And it was tested on a Thursday night, just like the Phoenix Lights on a Thursday night?
Yep. More than likely, you're probably right.
Yeah, Dolly alerted me to that. Whenever there's a significant UFO event, look at what's going on around in the world that time. There was a huge wave over Oahu, I think. I looked it up. A huge, significant military nuclear thing was going on. If you look at some of these major UFO events and look at what's going on in the world, it's some interesting correlations there. I think you got it, Michael. That is amazing.
You know, and you were talking about looking at other UFO events. You're right, Preston, because a lot of these major UFO cases, I'm talking top 10. If we go to the top 3, you've got Hudson Valley Boomerang, you've got Lonnie Zamora, you've got Cash Landrum. Those could be the top 3. Cash Landrum, as you know, Preston and Dolly, Cash Landrum, December 29th, 1980, happened literally within 24 hours of Bentwaters.
Yep.
Same, almost the exact day we had the Bentwaters event. So a lot of these UFO cases, they're grouped up. They happen in groups. Let's go to the next one here. Who's Who in UFOs? Sightings and comments by celebrities, politicians, religious, military personnel. We'll just run through this kind of quickly here. So there was about a 10-page report within the APRO files that talk about all these people of notoriety, what they saw, where they saw it, and when they saw it. So I'll just go through some of the names here. Muhammad Ali, William Shatner, Sammy Davis Jr., Jackie Gleason, Cliff Robertson, Arthur Godfrey. All these people had UFO sightings.
Yep, I know.
We'll go into a couple of these here. Nelson Rockefeller, quote, "Insofar as keeping the American people properly informed on this matter of national concern, UFOs, It is vital to our democratic process that the general public be properly and completely informed. Has that happened? No. Okay. Obviously, it hasn't happened. We have had multiple congressional hearings that have literally gone nowhere. No physical evidence was brought out. No ET craft were brought out. No biological tissue samples were brought out. Not only that, we don't even have the gun camera footage from World War II, from the Korean War, from Vietnam, for Desert Storm. Every single major military conflict in the world stage has always had UFO associated with it. Every single one. So where are the 1952 attempted intercepts by Air Force pilots who are trying to shoot these things down in the early 1950s? And then the U.S. Air Force rescinded the order. I want to know where that F-94 gun camera footage is. Preston, you have any idea where that might be?
Locked up, that's for sure.
Right, Patterson, that's where it's locked up, way down underground. Bet money on it. Wright Patterson's got it.
Well,
bet money.
They've certainly got multiple locations, right? So Wright Patterson could be one. The underground vault at the Pentagon, that could be another location. We know there's things at CIA headquarters, okay? We also know there's things at NSA headquarters, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg. They have followed a no single point failure policy here, and they have diversified their portfolio and put a lot of this in warehouses around the country. There's no way they're going to put everything in one location. They are going to diversify their portfolio.
So is that what you mean by no single point failure?
Yeah, no single point failure.
Eggs in many different baskets.
Copies upon copies upon copies. Where do you think NASA stuff went? You know, NASA says, "Oh, we had computer failures and blah blah blah, and the tapes erased and all this BS."
I don't believe they throw out the evidence. I do not believe they.
Neither do I.
No way.
0 cents.
I do not. You know, and here we are. We're 3 years into these congressional hearings, and we can't even get the 1957 Edwards Air Force Base landing that astronaut Gordon Cooper talks about. We can't even get that. We know it's true. Why isn't that being run to ground? Because if we can find that film, we know that there's more to go along with that. There's more that we are being kept.
And until I see it, I don't want to hear a thing the government has to say. Show us that, and we'll start talking.
And I 100% believe it. And I'll tell you why. My dad worked with Cooper, okay, and he point blank told him privately that it was real. He described it to him. My father knows about it, knew about it. He's gone now, 100%. And it's infuriating to me because they buried it so fast. Cooper was PO'd because he should have been the one with the lock case on his wrist. He should have gone to Washington and showed it to the president. Okay. And he was angry beyond angry, but you can't, in his position, he couldn't do a bloody thing about it. Do as you're told. And it's pitiful that we treat information like this, that they keep just whitewashing everything.
After the war, there were B-29 bombers outfitted with still cameras and motion picture cameras that flew over the Arctic regions. This is literally after World War II, just a few years afterward. There were multiple cases where UFOs came up off of icebergs and parked themselves between the trailing edge of the main wing and the leading edge of the horizontal stabilizer, like 20 feet off the right-hand fuselage, while all the cameras were rolling. They have that film footage too. Where is that film footage? Why isn't the American public and the world being shown this footage? We paid for it with our own tax dollars.
Right.
So
I can tell you why. For two reasons. One, they're terrified of them. When you're a military person, you're military minded, you're paranoid, and you're a politician and all that in the military industrial complex, and we're starting, with Truman here, okay? Major paranoia about the whole thing. They were terrified, All right. They couldn't control it. They didn't know what it was. And they were absolutely not going to tell anybody because what they didn't understand, they would lose control of the narrative of it. And they would lose people in the entire world over it. Then they were afraid of how we reacted. Number one reason. Number one. Number two is the more that they started back engineering and learning what ET was capable of, they couldn't tell you the truth because now they've already lied. And Preston brought this one home for me. He made me clearly understand you can't tell that many lies for that amount of time and then turn around and say, well, you know, we lied to you. Everybody would turn on them in 2 damn bloody seconds and you know it. Okay? Those are the reasons. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's infuriating. I don't care anymore. They have to tell the truth. Let the heads roll. Let the chips fall where they may.
I know. I agree with you. I agree with
Come
you.
clean. Yeah.
But we're 3 years into these congressional hearings, and where are we? We're no further along now than we
the
were
government has
3
not
years
declared
ago.
anything. Nothing. They're just playing
years
games in Congress about it. They're saying, well, we're investigating. And now they're putting movies out because we're dumb enough to go watch those stupid movies by people who are not truly experts or eyewitnesses or absolute, you know, involved. And we're going to watch those movies and get our brains twisted around a little bit more. It's very aggravating.
I think what it's showing us is, in point of fact, what it's showing us is that the senators and congressmen in Washington, D.C., they don't have a high enough security clearance and they don't have a need to know. That's what it's showing us.
Yeah. Well, like the Phoenix Lights, you know, when the Phoenix Lights flew over Phoenix, the people at Luke Air Force Base, I don't think they were in the loop.
No.
Because they were going absolutely out of their minds. They did not know what this thing was.
I'm going to the next one
crazy
here.
to me.
Now, this is a gentleman that I don't think most people are familiar with. Joachim Kettner, PhD, former chairman, UFO Subcommittee, American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. So we're talking about the AIAA. This is a very reputable organization. Here he says, quote, the committee has made a careful examination of the UFO issue and has concluded that the controversy cannot be resolved without further study in a quantitative scientific manner, and that it deserves the attention of the engineering and scientific community. So it's no longer a giggle factor here. I mean, we're talking about high-level people. They believe it's something that needs to be investigated.
Right. One little kernel of truth was just stated right there. That's an absolute kernel of truth.
He clearly saw one. I can just feel it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's continue on here. Robert Kennedy. Like many other people in our country, I am interested in the phenomenon of flying saucers. It is a fascinating subject that has initiated both science fiction and serious scientific research. Scientific fiction and serious. I favor more research regarding this matter, and I hope once and for all we can determine the true facts about flying saucers. Robert Kennedy, you know, John F. Kennedy's brother,
right?
He was certainly interested.
I suspect they knew a lot more than they were saying too.
I'm sure they did.
Yep.
So I want to highlight Ryan Wood's book, UFO Who Knows? Quotations from leading experts in science, military, religion, politics, government, and sports, and Hollywood personalities that you need to read. Good book. Very good book.
Wow. I didn't know about this one. Wow.
So this is what I have prepared for this evening. And, you know, we can just kind of discuss what all this means. We talked about the congressional hearings. I don't think we're getting too far with these congressional hearings. What we need at this point is we need physical hardware. We need physical evidence to move this field forward. That nothing less than that. We absolutely need the physical evidence.
I 100% agree, because looking at these pictures, and yes, they are small, but you can see who some of them are.
Yeah.
How many people do we have to have that are leaders in society, whether it's celebrities or scientists or heads of state or military folks? All of them have made positive statements about this subject. And yet sometimes I post something on Reddit or something and people tear me to bits. And, you know, absolutely call me names like, none of this is real. I think some of these guys are probably agents, but it's ridiculous that we still have skepticism at such a high level at this point, when there's that many people, that many cases, that much evidence.
Right.
And what irks me the most is the whistleblower accounts of UFO crash retrievals. This is the best evidence we have. This is the hardware. This is what we need in the public arena. And all we have is anecdotal evidence to support those cases.
Yeah.
I really think. Go ahead,
I want to
Dolly.
say that real quick. One of the reasons that Nixon got annexed the way he did was because what he knew about it. Okay. And he got in a lot of trouble for showing Jackie Gleason stuff. All right. And he did. That's real. That happened. Okay. I'm privy to it, just saying. And it is sad to me that we don't heed the warnings of people, high-ranking people, who absolutely knew that they needed to say it when they did. And I'm going to go back to Eisenhower. When he left office, he left the warning for everybody. And he said, don't not heed what he says. We needed to go into it and definitely deal with it. And that's the military-industrial complex, which is now global. Okay, it's like the mafia. You know, they've got a stranglehold on a society worldwide, and it's sad because they use money, they use power, they use influence, and they use murder to keep it where they want it to be. And until somebody gets some cojones on them and has some real evidence, as you stated, bring it out, actual physical evidence, nobody's going to know the truth. Not really. Okay. Because there's always going to be, quote, plausible deniability. Okay. And until the government decides that what you do here is a huge national security incident, and then we're all in trouble at the same time. That's what's, you know.
Yeah, the point I also want to make is that according to Timothy Good, this subject of UFOs was classified higher than the atomic bomb in World War II. So
That's right.
it looks like what they did is they took the security classification surrounding the atomic bomb, you know, the personnel, the programs, the engineers,
All of it.
you know, just downright the whole umbrella thing, and they use that as a piggyback, and they threw all that onto the UFO subject.
Yep.
And so that's why it's even more classified than the atomic bomb, and it's still in place today. That level of classification is still in place today, making researchers have a very difficult time getting to it.
I know.
Yeah, I like Timothy Good. He's one of my favorite early researchers out there. It's too bad he's pretty much retired, but his book Above Top Secret, absolute required reading. There is a UFO cover-up. It's demonstrably true. It's worldwide. He laid it out in black and white. God bless him, because that book was like, that's one I would give to skeptics. If you can get them to read it, good luck.
Right. That's right.
But oh man,
another book, Shoot Them Down by Frank Ficino. He talks about the early 50s encounters where our American pilots were ordered to shoot these discs down, and then later they rescinded the order. But what's not talked about is that we lost a number of pilots and craft that were trying to intercept it. Now, I'm not saying there was an offensive weapon system going against our aircraft. I'm just saying that their electronic system, their navigation system
absolutely failed.
And they crashed. It wasn't a frontal attack by the UFOs, but
all a UFO has to do is turn with its emitters on the craft, and they go dead. That's the only thing they do. And it's they warn them before they do it. They'll turn on them. They'll circle them, forward facing. I practice this maneuver myself. It's called a full frontal circle, right? You come in at them. You point your nose in at them, and then you circle them real fast to let them know that's the warning. And they do it far enough so their emitters can't down them. And then they start incrementally getting closer. All the pilot had to do was dive. That's all they had to do was to get away with it. And a lot of them went down because they refused to dive. That's why that happens. It is amazing to me that people with scientific knowledge, ability, who understands the mechanics of this type of technology, would not even already come out with this type of knowledge. It is easily researchable. You research what I just said. It's true. Okay. ET has never fired on anybody. They repeatedly warned them, stay away from us, or you're in trouble. And a few pilots didn't stop. They took it as an offensive move, and they got close enough to knock them out.
That's the point I'm making. It was not an offensive maneuver.
Right. People have fired at UFOs, and it ricochets back at them. There was a case where that happened with a missile. and it turned around, came right back at them. So technically, no, the UFO didn't fire on them. But
Well, we can go back to 43, 44 timeframe. Allied B-17 pilots in the European theater, B-24 pilots, the B-29 pilots in the Pacific theater, they reported shooting into these with 50 caliber weapons, and the UFOs just absorbed all of the rounds.
Yeah,
So
when they're in full phase, they're interdimensional. You can't touch them; it goes right through. It looks like it's being absorbed, and it's just going right through them. Okay, it passes through them. It looks like an absorption, but it's not hitting them. It's going right through them. If they're not in full phase, if they're on battery power, and they've got a certain type of shielding up, electromagnetic shielding. If you hit it with a round, it's going to ricochet back at you, and that's the most dangerous moment for anybody. You shoot any sort of mechanical type of bullet or mortar or whatever at a UFO, it's going to hit you back with it. It's your fault. It'll ricochet right off and hit you dead in the same trajectory that you launched at it. Perfect trajectory rejection, and they found that out too. A lot of people have been killed on the ground shooting at UFOs. You don't hear about that either. Guy goes out with his 12-gauge shotgun and he tries to shoot at a UFO, and every one of those pellets comes back and lets him have it. This happens. It's real. And people don't talk about that either. There are full of cases full of that. It is sad to me that here's where it gets sticky. Why aren't experiencers on the block? Why aren't real true experiences, vetted experiencers, allowed to talk to people and go before Congress and say, look, why isn't the technology that I can directly speak to, you want to know why they don't want you to know I know what I know? Or they want you to think I'm crazy for it because it's real. And it makes me nuts. A real experience, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them worldwide. Michael, you've had to run into them. I know you have. Preston has. It's case after case after case where people can describe to you the real thing. Yes, there's a lot of misinformation about what's back engineered versus real, but there are plenty of real cases out there too. Do you hear about those, Michael? How many got suppressed and buried? I can tell you right now, my case got buried. You know who did it? MUFON. MUFON did it. I reported twice, and it's gone. Nobody can find it. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's sad. It's sad to me. That's how infiltrated everything is. I could be on my soapbox all day about this.
Someone's asking about Antarctica. So I don't think that there's any alien bases or anything under there. Admiral Byrd in the inner Earth, I think that has gotten blown up out of all proportion.
What you're looking at is civilization, prior civilizations prior to us. When the Earth does a flop over, okay, and then it flops back every 12,000 years after a micronova and our crust breaks loose, and we're in the process of going in that direction now, and Antarctica had civilization on it way back 12,000, 14,000 years ago, just saying. So yeah, there's lots of underwater civilizations. Like, how the heck did they get there? That's because the Earth was tilted back the other way. The water event that Noah talks about, that's what that is.
Here's a question from Barry for you, Michael. When is your next book coming out?
Well, I've got enough information with the APRO files that I was fortunate enough to scan from the National UFO Historical Record Center to write probably 6 books. So there's enough material there to write a book. It's something I should do. It's something I can follow up on. Don't have an exact date, but it's something that I should follow through with, because we've got more than enough sketches, illustrations, witness testimony, and full color renderings to definitely justify another book for sure.
Promise me, don't let AI you do it yourself.
True. But what I really want to explore is, how do we, as interested researchers and the general public, how do we get access to these very highly classified, need to know only vaults where they keep this information? Underground vaults, deep underground military bases, the Pentagon, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, CIA vault, and NSA vaults. How do we get access to that information within those facilities? That's what
the UFO committee has got a community has tons of money in it. There are people in the ufology were very, very, very wealthy through this, okay? And all they have to do is start forming groups and get high-powered lawyers, like a few that we already know, and start suing the pants off the government, the Pentagon, everybody. If they all did it at the same time with the backing of humanity, giving them money, helping them get to it, if everybody got involved, suing the pants off the country, it could not be ignored. It would be an open court, and oh my God, what would happen then? Okay, it would either be, it would cause something tremendous to happen. I do think that. I really
It's
do.
going to lead to the collapse of countries. Governments are going to collapse under the weight of lies.
They already are.
Okay.
Understand that? They already are.
But
And
like
it's-
when you sign a national security oath, that's top secret, special compartmented information, that it's a USAP, it's an unacknowledged special access program that even the president doesn't have access to.
Right.
How are we as researchers and a group of civilians ever going to penetrate that defense contractor proprietary world? How do we pierce that?
I don't know, because a few people that I know of, and I'm not naming names, tried to do that before and burned an entire complex down in Missouri for it to the ground. This is how they act when that starts happening. It is not funny to me. I was notified of it. I was brought up with this information, and it bothers me because they're willing to do anything to stop you from knowing anything.
Well, that's the first step we need to do, is just know. Get the knowledge out there. Education, knowledge has always been
That's why if everybody on this planet sued the pants off of all of them and said, we're not going to believe you anymore, shut up and give us what we want, it would take an entire cry all at once. And the UFO community needs to get off their little chairs and reach consensus about this, sit down and tell the truth to one another, and go after them forthright. Any researcher with any sort of houndtooth in him, and you two are really good researchers and you're both talking about it, should be part of it. See what I'm saying? Let the what's the more?
Okay.
I don't think people want to know the truth. I think they want to keep talking out their side of their face and make money off of this. I don't think they want to know. See what I'm saying? Because I hear stuff all the time, and it's like, oh God, just stop. Just stop. You're misleading people. You're sending them down a rosy path. Who's paying you off? It's ridiculous.
Here's a question for you, Michael.
Go ahead.
Because this is coming kind of from this comment here. What's the slowly extending light? Because that one case where it's coming down, how far advanced do you think we've reverse engineered this stuff? We have anti-gravity. If we have lights that are, I don't know what you call them, coherent beams of light, I wonder if we have this healing technology that ETs have, because I've heard some of that from whistleblower reports.
I've got 3 cases in my files of this quote unquote telescoping light phenomenon, where like if you turn on a flashlight, the light is instantaneous and it hits the ground. That's not the case with these. These lights slowly go to the ground. So I'm thinking there might be some type of gravity warping going on, something perhaps along those lines that would explain the light not going instantaneously to the ground. That could be, but I think we've got that technology, and that's borne out by our good friend Gordon Cooper. Just before he passed away, he told Daryl Miklos, quote, "We're 100 years behind where we should be." So even Gordon Cooper knew that the actual technology is way in advance of what we're shown in the general public. Now, the couple things I want to ask both of you in our time remaining here. As the time goes on, these quote unquote gatekeepers are passing away, like Henry Kissinger, George Bush Sr., okay, and then recently Dick Cheney, who was a gatekeeper. He knew. What do both of you think that these 3 gatekeepers of UFO knowledge, what do you think they knew about this subject?
I know Kissinger probably knew more than anybody, honestly.
Okay. Why, Dolly? Why?
Because he and Nixon were buddy-buddy, and they had connections to the military-industrial complex. I'm pretty sure they both knew. Okay. I think Kennedy knew more as well. That's why he was outed. Okay. I also know that there's somebody else that you're forgetting about, and that and it's sad to me. we're talking on the other side of this, not Americans. We're talking about Putin knows more than you think he knows, way more. Okay. We also know that Xi Jinping knows way more. See what I'm saying? This is serious stuff. These are high level
Worldwide. No,
military controlling people who know they're part of the military industrial world complex now. It is, and they're wreaking havoc on everybody, and they have an agenda that's really serious. I wish that we would, I keep putting it on my Facebook all the time. I'm telling people, look, just wake up right now, come out of it, get out of it. You got too much to be thinking about other than the stupid stuff you do think about. This is serious stuff. And
yeah, well, from a contactee's perspective, for people who have talked to their fathers and mothers who were involved in the military industrial complex,
right?
It's my understanding that they know exactly what's going on. They know that the ETs come from Orion. They know that they are ETs. They know that they're in large numbers. They know all about the technology. They know far more than the vast majority of contactees, way more than any researcher out there. I think Dick Cheney absolutely was in the loop. We know, was it Elder Bush who was the head of the CIA?
Elder Bush, yes.
I mean, come on. He knew. So there's a connection there. I think
he knew, his son knew. Trust me, he did. Okay. And it is, there are leaders all over the world that know about this. Okay. And you have to do is sit down and critically think about who am I being. And you start drawing a map, okay, of who they are, what they are, and why they are, and what's going on in the world right now as we speak. Because I'm telling you, they're getting ready to throw a false flag at us, and they have a reason for doing that. I wish that people would wake up and understand that we're not playing games here. Researchers, real serious researchers. Michael, you're at the top of my list right now. Okay. I do not want you to go away. I want you to stay right where you are. I want you to do whatever it is you're doing.
No one's doing what you're
I want
doing.
everybody to start listening to you because you know what you're talking about. Okay.
You're sifting the genuine cases from the reverse engineered in a way that no one else has been able to do.
Right. And one of the things that impresses me is you're able to overcome any fear you might have and want the truth. Truth is more important than fear, way more. Okay. And unless I hear a researcher talk like that, I really don't have time to listen to them because they're just flapping their gums. You know, they're just yappity, yappity, yappity. We have to understand science better. We have to educate ourselves, and we have to, those of us who can't jump on the education wagon and get all the information they need so that they have a foundational, reasonable understanding of this, at least pick one person who knows wise and educated who's saying things that you intuitively know, because you got to learn to use your abilities, intuitively understand that they're telling you the bloody truth. If it sounds, what's the word? I hate the fact that I'm going to use this, what he says, but if it sounds like magic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we all just got to wake up and start hearing the truth, and then start voicing it back to the people everywhere. I mean, we have power in our own minds. If we send a wave of, this is it, we're done with you people, quit lying to us right now. If everybody did it and voiced that, it would turn. They would have no choice, you know? But I have something to tell you because I want you to hear me. So how does it like right now? And he knows what I'm going to say. Be careful what you ask for. Okay. That is, my father used to say it to me. Talata used to say it to me. He still does. And now I'm saying it out loud. Please understand that we need to be wise enough to be careful how we ask for this, because you don't want to force the hand of a tyrant to come down on you because it's afraid of how you're acting. See what I'm saying? We have to be reasonable. We have to be thoughtful. We have to be logical and do this the right way. And one of those ways is to quit believing the BS, turn off the TV, the commercials, and all the goopy stuff on YouTube. You know, all these shows that come on, and I saw an alien last night and all this other stuff. Don't even go there, you know. And you brought it up with the moon thing. It's one of my pet peeves that people say, oh, I saw this. We have remote viewers. No, you don't. It's not real. Stop it. ET is not complicated, and everybody's making it complicated, and we need to wake up to that.
Now, what about the current administration? Do you think the Trump administration has any plans to have a legacy project for Donald Trump? Is he going to go out with a legacy as revealing this phenomenon? What are your thoughts?
I think the guy wants to, but I think that he has to be very careful. He is one that's politely thinking this one through carefully.
Mhm.
He's already had the first 4 years to show him what a monster is out there after, and look what they've been doing even since he's been in office again. Okay. I think he is very well aware of what's going on, and he's trying to do things that give us time to know what the truth is.
I think every president definitely gets a wake-up call, because almost all of them have made veiled statements.
Right.
Almost all of them.
That's right.
They know. I'm not sure they're in the loop. Dolly, here's a question I want to pop up for you.
Okay.
Max Meeks is asking, can't real ET wreck any attempts at a fake ET invasion?
No, they're not here. That's why. And it's our fault. You have to understand, we're a society on this planet. We have only ourselves to thank for all our stupidity. And if they came in and fixed everything for us, we would learn nothing. Not to mention the fact that we really do have a serious situation and we have to help ourselves. And we're at a critical mass with that. That's what this is really all about. The greatest lesson in all of this is what we do now. Okay, how do we act? How do we go through this? And we might fail. That's the point. And do you want to succeed at understanding what this really is, or fail at it? Take your pick. But it's only up to us, not them. They've given us as much information as they can. They've helped us in a myriad of different ways, and we're still acting like fools and dummies.
Yeah, but people are still in contact with ET telepathically speaking. So
yes, yeah, I'm in contact. There are lots of people on this planet who have that ability, like I do. Okay.
All right, so Dolly, we have to stop the show 10 minutes before the hour. Is that correct?
5.
Oh,
We have to start taking it down at 5. Yeah.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes.
Now, what happens if an element of this quote unquote transnational team breaks ground and they go for a disclosure on their own?
Yes, that's what
that scenario.
Buckle up. It would be interesting, because a lot's going to happen the second that goes off. That would be tremendously interesting.
Mhm.
It will become nobody's going to be able to work for a day. I bet money we all shut down.
I hope that happens, because I think that's our best bet as the old guard kind of dies off, and the ones who are conservatively trying real hard to keep all of this covered up, because I think younger people moving into the military industrial complex might, I don't know, I'm purely speculating, I would hope that they would want to do the right thing, which is be on the right side of history and let it go. I'm of mind, like, let's have, what do they call it, catastrophic disclosure?
Right.
I don't care how much catastrophe it causes. I want the truth. We deserve.
Well, we've already reached, you know what a thesis and antithesis is, right? We're all college educated between us, okay? So we're in anarchy right now. We're not in either one. We're in anarchy, and that's the sign that it's that serious. We're going to have a calamity. It is a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. Now, how we perceive it, understand it, and deal with it is all up to everybody here. Everybody, and we can either rant and rave and go crazy and end up, passing through this to the other side, because that's what's going to happen, or you can deal with it. My belief is, the reason I open my mouth is this, and it's not a belief, it's my knowledge, understanding from what they've taught me. You have a right to your destiny. You're an autonomous being, and anybody to tell you differently is wrong. It's a lie. You have the right to know and understand what your absolute fate is. Nobody's going to live past the end of their days here. Nobody. And if there's a calamity, a lot of people are going to go at the same time. But it's better for us to know what's happening to us so that we can prepare mentally, spiritually, physically. Okay? Some of us are going to survive it, maybe, and most of us are not. That's the truth. And the military-industrial complex decided that 1% will survive it. That's what they're going to do. That's why they've built this entire quadrangle of underground facilities, seed vault, everything. They've prepared themselves for it. Too many of us know where they're at and how to get in. That is a problem. And they are going to take humanity down. They're calling the herd now because they don't want us, which is
really don't trust them. No, I don't.
And this is the infrastructure I'm talking about: food, water, medicine, places to dwell. Those are the 4 pillars of existence on this planet. Those are the things that you need. And they have wrecked them to the point now that when this does happen, it will be a very quick 6-week end to most probably 6 million people, 6 billion people suddenly and without warning. Okay.
Now, I have another question I want to pose to both of you here.
Okay.
Catherine Austin Fitts mentioned within Richard Sauter's book about deep underground military bases has talked about, I think the number was 15 trillion that's unaccounted for, could not be audited. What are they doing inside the deep underground military bases that does not have anything to do with continuity of government? There must be something else going on here rather than protecting official leaders for that kind of money and that amount of manufacturing going on. There must be something else going on.
I think government is on the low end of their list. It's not.
I know. My dad,
That's right.
my dad worked for the military industrial complex. Cooper knew this as well. He was an engineer. My father designed underground facilities for people to survive what's coming. It is life-sustaining places, and the 1% who could afford to buy into it or work, be politically, in on it, are going down for that. And they're ready. It's already ready. And when you see these people start disappearing, count the hours, because it's on you right now. I'll tell you the number one sign that the bad is happening right now. All your GPS will go down without warning. It'll be gone. The minute that happens and you can't get it back within an hour, get your butt out of your house. Go find yourself someplace to go be safe. Take your bug out bags and get the heck away from society, because it's coming at that point.
And I don't think they give one iota about most people in government.
Well, you know what they say there, right? Over at Cheyenne Mountain.
Yeah.
The door will already be closed by the time you get there.
That's right.
So I have one quick question before we do run out of time, because we're edging towards it now. I think we got like 2 minutes. How far have you gotten through the archives? Right?
I made it all the way through the APRO archives. I mean, I made it there. The goal now is to get all those cases properly illustrated. Take someone's very rough pencil sketch and 3-page report, turn that into a really nice drawing, and then make it come alive with a 3D color rendering. That's the process I'm doing now.
Okay, so like artist, and you're within the sound of this, send Michael an email and say, you know what, I'm a good artist. I can do this. And let him decide who's
I'm in touch with someone who works very closely with APRO as an investigator and says they have 2 boxes of stuff. 2 or 3.
Okay.
Trying to get a hold of it.
Yes, he can get a hold of it. You want it?
I want to see,
Well, it's for everybody, I
would like to eventually get it. Well, first I have to try to get it and see if it's anything, Yeah. But if it is, there's still stuff out there, I'm saying, that's floating around. So.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Well, that was amazing, Michael.
Thank you. Everybody.
So much fun. Always so entertaining and informative. I always learn something, which is amazing. After 40 years, I'm still trying to separate what's ET and what's not. And it's a little disappointing to see a lot of this is actually military.
You know what? That number could be as high as 85%. You're
right. Exactly correct. There you go. When you said that the first time, when I heard that, I was like, oh God, he knows. He knows. It's like, it's great. Preston the last 3 years has been interesting, because he talked about a case to me and I'm listening to it and I'm like, no. And I could see his little ears drop a little bit going, what? And I'm like, no, why? And I would tell him why. And it's like, and then you showed up and it was like, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I'm just following what the witnesses are saying, That's what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Well, that's the whole point. Follow the trail. That's all you got to do. Oh.
All right. Well, thanks again. I think we're at our end of our hour here. We got a show coming on after us, so we can never go long now.
Okay.
But thanks, Michael. That was amazing. We can't wait to have you back.
Got a couple things to talk to you about.
Okay. Let me just say thanks to all you folks who helped support the show. It means a lot. Namaste. And Sunny, Burnett, and Janie Mashburn, you guys really delivered today. Bob Thorson and Cherise. My goodness, I am so honored. We are honored. Thank you, Yahira Medium, Derek Farmer. All of you guys are fantastic. And every single one of you out there who support us by watching means just as much. We absolutely love that all of you take out the time out to listen to our little show, which is beginning to grow. Our numbers are now at 800,000, pushing towards 900,000. When we hit the million, we'll have a party.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Michael.
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Monday night in November. We're the Light Gate. We're coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. We're on Facebook, we're on Roku, we're on Rumble, and we are on YouTube. I want you all to have a wonderful week. Listen to what we say. Look it up. Start listening to this stuff. Read what Michael says. Go to his podcast.
go to the YouTube channel. Yeah, please check out. He's putting out some amazing stuff on Area 51 right
Absolutely.
now. We really want to
know who he is and what he's saying.
Yeah,
so he's like number 2 in the thing. Suspicious space of weather observers and Michael. Two smartest.
We want to blow up your channel. We really want to get it big.
All right. We love y'all. Mwah. Namaste.